안녕하세요. 해외 취업에 관한 자세한 이야기를 나누는 시간 월간 특집 해외 취업 주한대사에게 듣는다 진행을 맡은 허승아입니다. 오늘 만나볼 나라는 2016년 상반기 화제의 중심이 된 나라죠. 바로 영국입니다. 영국은 한국이 서방 국가 중 미국에 이어 두 번째로 수교를 맺은 나라인데요. 1883년 한영 우호통상 항해조약을 맺은 이후로 전쟁 시 미국 다음으로 최다 파병을 했고 국제연합 등 각종 국제무대에서 한국의 입지를 꾸준히 지지해왔습니다. 또 양국 수장의 방영, 방한과 더불어 활발한 무역과 교류를 통해 우호 관계를 공고히 하고 있습니다. 그런데 올 상반기 영국으로부터 전 세계를 들썩이게 한 소식이 들려왔죠. 바로 지난 6월 결정된 브렉시트입니다. 영국은 국민투표를 통해 1973년 EU의 전신인 유럽 경제공동체 EEC에 가입한 지 43년 만에 탈퇴를 결정했습니다. 이처럼 브렉시트가 현실화하면서 세계 금융시장은 요동쳤는데요. 영국 런던 증시는 최저치를 기록했고 한국을 비롯한 일본, 중국 등 아시아 주식시장은 일제히 폭락하면서 국제 금융시장의 불확실성이 확산됐습니다. 특히 브렉시트 탈퇴 여론 확산의 가장 큰 이유로 취업 목적의 이민자와 난민 유입 증가가 꼽히면서 영국에 정착한 이민자와 취업을 통한 정착을 계획한 사람들, 그리고 유학을 준비하는 사람들까지 불안감을 감추지 못하고 있는데요. 그래서 오늘 월간 특집 해외 취업 주한대사에게 듣는다에서는 한국과 영국의 무역 협력과 금융시장에 대한 전망을 짚어보고 영국 취업 그리고 유학에 관한 이야기까지 나눠보겠습니다. 그럼 오늘 함께해 주실 찰스 헤이 주한 영국 대사님을 소개합니다. 네, 대사님 안녕하십니까?
안녕하세요.
오늘 이 프로그램을 영국 유학이나 취업을 준비하고 계시는 많은 분들께서 보실 텐데요. 소감이 어떤지 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
It's a great pleasure to be with you today and to have the chance to discuss some of the really important issues that you referred to in your introduction.
그 대사님께서 한국에 부임을 하신 게 작년 초인 걸로 알고 있는데 한국이란 나라의 첫인상이 어땠을까 궁금하거든요.
Well, I've been here for 2 years now. I've been 18 months as ambassador, and before that, for 6 months, I was lucky enough to be able to study Korean here in Seoul as a humble student and not as an ambassador. And so I had the chance also to learn a bit about Korean culture, but also to travel a bit around the country. And I was very struck by really two things. One is the great beauty of a lot of the country of Korea, particularly the mountains. And as a Scotsman, the mountains are very important to me. And the other thing was the great friendliness of all the people that I met and their willingness to tolerate my poor attempts to speak Korean with them.
한국에 대해서 좋은 첫인상을 간직을 하고 계시는 것 같은데 그래도 좀 문화적인 차이가 있기 때문에 적응하시는데 어려운 부분은 없었을까 궁금하기도 해요.
Well, Korean culture is obviously very different to British culture. But as I said, I had 6 months of study of Korean here, and I learned a lot about Korean culture from my excellent teachers. And I also had a chance to study Korean in London. And while we were in London, we were able to go to New Malden, which is well known as being the Koreatown of the UK, and to learn a bit about Korean food and culture there as well. So to learn a bit about it. I think the most difficult thing for me and for many non-Koreans is the language, which is very, very hard for us to learn. But it's enormously increased my respect for Koreans who can speak English so well.
이제 본격적으로 브렉시트에 대한 이야기를 좀 해봐야 될 것 같습니다. 벌써 2달이 지났어요. 그동안 새로운 총리가 부임을 했고 여러 가지 변화들이 있었지만 불확실성이 여전한 상태이기 때문에 지난 2달간에 대해서 어떤 평가를 내리시는지 먼저 들어보겠습니다.
Well, it's been a very, very tumultuous 2 months. We often talk about historic events, but I think the vote of the UK to leave the EU was a genuinely historic event. And of course, it then brought about the downfall of long-standing and hitherto very popular Prime Minister. We now have a new government with our second female Prime Minister since Margaret Thatcher. The opposition party is also going through a leadership challenge. So it's had huge implications for Britain's political scene. I think on the economic and financial side, what we've seen is some initial reactions, but now there's a period of I think, stability. And as you say, there's an awful lot that needs to be worked through now before the UK actually leaves the EU. We need to work out what kind of relationship we want with the EU in the future, and then we need to discuss and negotiate that with our EU partners. And that's going to take some time.
아무래도 뭐 정치적으로나 경제적으로나 굉장히 중요한 이벤트였기 때문에 여러 가지 변화가 나타났던 지난 두 달이었던 것 같습니다. 새로운 총리에 대한 이야기도 좀 해주셨는데요. 테리사 메이 총리 같은 경우는 브렉시트 이후에 유럽연합과 경제 관계는 가까이 유지를 하면서도 어떤 그 이주자 문제에 있어서는 좀 제한적인 입장을 취하고 있어서 어떤 사람들은 영국이 체리피킹을 한다. 그러니까 혜택만을 따먹으려는 거 아니냐 이런 비판이 나오고 있어서 대사님의 입장이 좀 궁금합니다.
Well, one of the things that the referendum was clearly about was about the economic and also the wider relationship with the European Union, which very much included the free movement of people. And at the moment, as you know, there's completely free movement of people throughout the European Union and completely free movement also of goods and capital. So there's a balance. And in future, we will need to negotiate our relationship with the EU. And a really important part of that is our access to the European market. And another really important part of that is what freedom of movement of labour there will be between the EU and the UK. And I think we'll have to balance up those two priorities and agree it with our European partners. But let's not forget that access to the UK market is very important also for the European Union, because at the moment the EU is running a trade surplus with the UK. So they will want to maintain access to the UK market as well as us wanting to maintain access to the EU market.
그러니까 영국뿐 아니라 EU도 영국과의 교류가 필요하기 때문에 어떤 균형을 맞춰 나가는 게 중요하다 이런 지적을 해주셨습니다. 브렉시트가 결정된 이후에 한국 같은 경우는 FTA를 영국과 다시 체결해야 하는 문제가 남아 있는데 아직까지 어떤 구체적인 협상은 진행되지 않고 있는 걸로 알고 있거든요. 언제쯤 개시가 될지 궁금합니다.
Well, I was very encouraged when after the decision to leave the EU happened, the Korean government were very quick to say that they wanted to negotiate a new deal for the UK to maintain that excellent level of trade which we have currently between our two countries. And trade between our countries has enormously increased, particularly since the entry into force of the EU-Korea FTA. And both we and Korea want to maintain that trading relationship. I think the first important point to make is that there's going to be no immediate change, because until the UK leaves the EU, which is a minimum of 2 years from the moment we trigger Article 50, we will still be party to that FTA. So there will be no change until that moment. Now, as to what happens after that, we're going to have to discuss that with the Korean government. But my own hope, and I believe it's the hope also of the Korean side, is that we find a way through that provides a seamless transition from the FTA we now have to a future trading arrangement which will allow us to continue to build trade between our countries.
그러니까 즉각적으로 변화는 없겠지만 어떤 지속성을 유지하는 게 관건이겠다 이런 생각이 드는데요. 영국이 이제 과거 한 EU FTA와 비교를 해봤을 때 한국과의 독자적인 양자 FTA 체결할 때 조금 더 고려할 사항들이 뭐가 있을까 궁금하기도 하거든요.
Well, the current FTA is a very deep and wide FTA, particularly with regard to goods trade. I think where we could do more is in services. And the service sector is a sector that the Korean government has identified as a sector that you want to grow for in your own economy. The UK is very strong in the service sector. The current FTA is not very strong on services, and in the future I would like to see more scope for trade in services between the UK and Korea, particularly in, for example, legal and other services.
영국 같은 경우는 특히 금융 분야에서 세계적으로 영향력이 있는 나라로 알려져 있는데 영국이 이렇게 국제 금융 시장에서 큰 힘을 가질 수 있게 된 배경이 궁금하거든요.
Well, I think there are lots of ingredients to that success, but I think one of the most important was our openness to trade and services more widely, because to create a financial hub, it's not just about the narrow banking and financial sector. That needs to be supported by a whole ecosystem around it of legal services, accounting services, consultancy, insurance, and a whole raft of other specialist services. So, for example, in the UK, there are more than 200 foreign legal companies operating, mainly out of London. So I think you need to, and what London has succeeded in doing, the UK has succeeded in doing, is building that whole ecosystem into what it is today.
그렇군요. 아무래도 전반적인 그 생태계가 도움이 됐다 이런 이야기를 해주셨습니다. 한국의 증시에 대해서 좀 이야기를 해보면 브렉시트 이후에 좀 출렁이는 모습을 보이긴 했지만 최근에는 외인 매수세의 영향으로 상승세를 보이고 있거든요. 한국 경제 기초 체력 어떻게 평가하시는지 궁금하고 또 리스크 요인들 어떤 게 있다고 보시는지 궁금합니다.
Well, I think what we saw globally was the similar pattern, which is that in the immediate aftermath of the vote on Brexit, financial markets fell. That was a global phenomenon. And then, since then, they've recovered. As far as Korea is concerned, Korea is in a very strong position, I think, economically. You have a trade surplus. GDP is growing. Korea's the Standard & Poor have upgraded Korea's credit rating, so I think the outlook is good. I mean, I think probably the weaknesses or the worries are more on the domestic side, which is what the government is focusing on structural and regulatory reform.
한국 증시에 대한 이야기를 좀 해봤는데 앞서서 런던이 금융 허브로 성장할 수 있었던 배경을 짚어주셨기 때문에 한국 같은 경우에는 서울과 부산이 좀 국제 금융 허브로 나아갈 가능성이 있지 않나 이런 생각을 하고 있거든요. 그 발전 가능성에 대해서 좀 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
Well, I think that Korea has a lot of comparative advantages when you're looking at the financial services industry. You have a very highly educated and literate workforce. You've got great strengths in ICT. And as a global trading country, particularly with strong trade with China, you're a natural hub globally particularly for renminbi trading. I think there are things that can be done. One is to try to bring regulation more in line with international financial regulation. That's something that your FSC is already trying to do, which is very positive. But the other thing is something I've referred to already, which is that growing a financial centre isn't just about the financial services market, it's about the broader services market. And that's where I think perhaps more can be done to liberalise the wider services market.
아무래도 그 산업 전반에 걸쳐서 규제 같은 부분을 조금 더 논의를 해야 할 것 같다 이런 이야기를 해주셨습니다. 브렉시트 결정이 난 이후에 런던에 진출한 금융회사들의 대거 이탈이 예상된다 이런 이야기들이 많았거든요. 혹시 지금까지 런던을 떠나기로 결정한 회사들이 있는지 좀 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
In July, the Lord Mayor of London, who represents the City of London, so the financial market, came on a visit to Korea. And he came to Seoul and he went to Busan. And of course, he was asked about this and we discussed it a lot with him. And the picture seems to be that at the moment there is no sign that this is actually happening. In fact, quite the contrary, because after the Brexit decision, Wells Fargo, very big American bank, announced that they were going to establish a new headquarters in London. So it's still early days, but at the moment there's been no signs that this is going to happen.
현재 영국에 100개가 넘는 한국 기업들이 여러 분야에서 진출을 해왔습니다. 그래서 브렉시트의 영향으로 좀 변화하는 정세에 있어서 한국 기업들이 어떤 준비를 해야 할까 이 부분도 좀 듣고 싶거든요.
Well, I think it's rather more than 100. The last figure I saw was that there were more than 300 Korean companies that have been established in the UK over the past years. And even recently we've seen more Korean investments in the UK. I think there is something like $900 million worth of investment last year. In July, I went to Scotland and I visited a new Korean investment by a company called CS Wind in a wind tower production plant. I have an investment team in the embassy, and they tell me that since the Brexit decision, there's been no let-up in the inquiries that they're getting from Korean companies that wish to invest in the UK. So that's all very positive, and I believe that all the economic fundamentals in the UK are still there. We're growing more strongly than most other G7 countries. Our debt is the lowest it's been for a long time. Our employment rate is the highest it's been for a very long time. So the economic fundamentals are strong.
Yes.
And as I said before, one of the things to bear in mind is that nothing is going to change anyway for the next couple of years. It will be a process of negotiating a new partnership between the UK and the EU. But I firmly believe that the UK will remain a great place to do business for Korean and other companies.
지금까지 브렉시트에 대한 이야기를 나눠봤고요. 이번에는 영국 취업 또 유학에 대한 이야기를 여쭤볼 텐데요. 한국 청년들 같은 경우는 요즘 실업난에 시달리고 있습니다. 그러다 보니까 비교적 안정적인 공무원이 가장 인기 있는 직업으로 꼽히고 있는데 영국의 상황은 어떤지 궁금하거든요.
In fact, our unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in many years. As to the sectors that are growing, we have a very strong manufacturing sector. We're still the fifth largest manufacturing country in the world globally. Our service sectors are extremely strong and growing. So I think that our employment growth has been pretty well balanced.
그러니까 제조업과 서비스업 모두 이렇게 균형적인 발전이 이루어지고 있다. 이런 부분을 이야기를 해주셨습니다. 한국 청년들 같은 경우에 영국 취업을 통해서 새로운 기회를 모색하려는 분들이 많기 때문에요. 취업에 앞서서 미리 알아두어야 할 영국의 문화가 있다면 어떤 것들이 있는지 좀 미리 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
My experience of working alongside Koreans in the embassy and my experience more widely, I think Koreans are very adaptable and are able to work in a wide variety of different work environments. And Koreans being extremely hardworking and diligent, I think they shouldn't fear any cultural differences in working in companies in the UK.
아무래도 문화적 차이가 있어도 한국인 특유의 어떤 성실함으로 충분히 극복을 해낼 수 있을 것이다. 이렇게 이야기를 해주셨습니다. 취업에 대한 이야기를 해봤는데 영국 유학을 준비하시는 분들도 많거든요. 그분들 같은 경우에는 영국의 교육 제도에 매력을 느꼈기 때문일 것이다. 이렇게 생각을 하는데 교육 제도에 대해서 좀 설명을 해주시기 바랍니다.
In the embassy, we're building networks of alumni of people who studied in different universities in the UK, both at undergraduate level, more commonly at postgraduate level. But also what we're seeing increasingly is young Koreans coming to the UK to study in schools. And I think that's a very encouraging development. The numbers are still relatively small. I think we see something just over 5,000 Koreans studying in the UK. And I've been to several universities and met Korean students there, and they have fitted in, and I've had very positive feedback from the Koreans I've met about their studies in British universities. I think in the UK we're fortunate to have a very good higher education system. Now, I would say that, wouldn't I? I'm the British ambassador. But if you look at the latest study of higher education, of the world's top 10 universities, 4 of them are in the UK. So I think we provide a very high quality education. Language can be an issue, of course, but more and more Koreans are able to operate at the kind of level of English that will allow them to benefit from a UK education. And of course, you referred earlier to Koreans wanting to work in the UK. Well, I think studying in the UK is an invaluable springboard if you then want to go on and work. But of course, that would mean having a firm job offer to go to in the UK. It's not possible just to stay in the UK and look for a job while you're there after graduating.
그 영국에서 공부하고 있는 한국 학생들에 대한 이야기를 좀 해주셨는데요. 영국 유학을 준비하고 계신 분들이 있다면 이 소식이 참 반가울 것 같은데 영국 외무부에서 제공하는 장학금 프로그램이 있다고 들었습니다. 소개를 좀 해주시죠.
We do. Well, it's called the Chevening program. Chevening is the name of the House of the Foreign Secretary. So it's a strange name, but it's called Chevening. And this is a global program, and the idea is that we offer the possibility of studying in the UK to the brightest and the best, the future leaders in a wide range of different countries. And we're very lucky in Korea because we have a number of co-sponsors who provide funds also for these scholarships. And I would strongly encourage any young Korean who's interested in studying for a master's to visit the embassy website or Facebook page and look for information about Chevening scholarships and to then apply for one.
대사관 홈페이지에 접속하시면 보다 자세한 소식을 알 수 있다고 하니까요. 참고를 하시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 취프닝 장학금 프로그램이라고 소개를 해주셨는데 지원 자격이 어떻게 되는지 일단 궁금하거든요.
Well, you have to have a high level of English language, of course. And you have to have sponsorship, and of course it's a master's degree that you need to be applying for. But all of this is set out very clearly in the application procedure.
알겠습니다. 합격자를 뽑기 위해서 여러 가지 조건이 충족이 돼야 하겠지만 그중에서 지원자가 제출하는 에세이가 당락을 가르는 데 중요한 역할을 하고 있다고 들었습니다. 지원자들이 에세이를 작성할 때 어떤 점들을 좀 염두에 두고 해야 하는지 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
Well, I think always the most important thing when you're writing an essay is to answer the question and to do just what the question asks you to do in terms of numbers of words and the question that you're. I mean, that sounds very obvious, but you'd be surprised at how many people write something completely different or too many words or whatever. That's the first thing. And then obviously what we're looking for is people who can express a point of view, who can argue logically, who can present themselves well, and obviously in English, and that's not easy to do.
영어로 참 논리적인 에세이를 쓴다는 게 쉽지 않을 텐데 그런 부분들 좀 주의해서 작성을 하시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 이제 영국에서 취업을 하거나 유학을 할 때 공통적으로 등장하는 문제가 영국의 살인적인 집세입니다. 집을 구하기가 참 어렵다, 집세가 많이 비싸다 이런 이야기가 많이 들리는데 혹시 좀 한국 청년들이 비교적 저렴하게 집을 구할 수 있는 방법이 있다면 소개를 부탁드립니다.
Well, I think the problem in the UK is mainly focused in the southeast, in London and the surrounding area. And I suppose the first point to make is that every big international city is expensive to live in. You know, whether it's London or New York or whatever it might be. Seoul is not a cheap city to live in. The government has for some time been very conscious of the need to provide more affordable housing. And there are a number of different schemes that are now in place. So developers who are building new developments have to provide a certain amount of affordable housing as part of that. And there are various schemes whereby people can borrow money at relatively cheap rates, that they may not need so much of a deposit and so on. But these schemes are mainly aimed at residents in the UK rather than, for example, visiting students. A number of different universities do provide student accommodation, which can work out more reasonably. But I'm afraid the fact is that if you want to, for example, go and study in London, then it is going to be relatively expensive.
아무래도 기숙사 제도가 있긴 하지만 그럼에도 불구하고 집세 걱정은 좀 덜어내기가 어려운 부분인 것 같습니다. 또 영국에서 뭐 공부를 하거나 취업을 하시는 분들 같은 경우에 인종차별로 또 피해를 입는다고 하시거든요. 한국 청년들이 이 점을 좀 유의할 수밖에 없을 텐데 해결책이 어떤 것들이 있다고 보시는지 궁금합니다.
Well, I think since the Brexit vote, there have been reports of racial incidents, racial attacks. I suppose the first thing to say is that that's completely unacceptable and it is illegal, and the government and the police have made it very clear that they will crack down and deal with any such incidents. However, the numbers are actually relatively low. I mean, it's increased, but from a low base, it's gone up to a slightly higher number. So it's generally not a prevalent thing, I think, in the UK. And the UK has always been an open society, welcoming immigrants. We have done that for many hundreds of years. And in fact, there was a recent survey done which suggested that 75 to 80% of all British people were quite comfortable with the idea, for example, of EU nationals already living in the UK to continue to live and work there even after the UK has left the EU, and also that refugees and others should be allowed to come and live and work in the UK. So while any racial attack or insult is unacceptable, I do believe that it's relatively not a prevalent thing in the UK.
보편적인 현상은 아니지만 그럼에도 불구하고 분명히 불법적인 행위이기 때문에 이 부분에 대해서는 또 많은 논의가 필요할 것 같습니다. 지금까지 브렉시트 이후의 영국 상황을 좀 짚어봤고요. 영국 취업 또 유학에 대한 이야기를 쭉 들어봤는데 대사님께서 앞으로 한국과 영국의 우호적인 관계 지속과 발전을 위한 계획이 있다면 듣고 싶습니다.
Well, as you said in your introduction, we've been friends for a very long time, 132 years now. So it's a wonderful thing for me as an ambassador to be in a country where basically there are no problems between the UK and Korea. We have an excellent relationship across the board, whether it's political, economic, business, trade, education, which we talked about, and cultural. So my job is the, I think, quite difficult one of taking a very good relationship and making it even stronger. So in the future, I think after the UK has left the EU, there is scope for us to do even more on the trade and investment and business side. And as I said before, I think particularly perhaps in services, the services market. And I'd like to see progress there.
Yes.
And one of the things that's been very pleasing for me too is to see how much the profile of Korea has been raised recently in the UK. So it's great, for example, to see the success of K-pop, interest in, for example, K-drama, K-beauty in the UK. More Korean restaurants are opening in London, which is fantastic. And next year, starting in February 2017, we're going to have what we call a Creative Futures Year. And that's going to be a year of very intensive cultural exchange between the UK and Korea. And you're going to see a lot of cultural events. And I'd encourage people to look at our website and the website of the British Council, who are very closely involved in this. And there will be a lot going on over the year from 2017 to 2018. And after that, the Korean government intends to hold a year of Korea in the UK for 2018. So I think we'll see a wonderful back-to-back 2 years of very intensive cultural exchanges between our countries.
특히 내년부터 양국 간의 문화 교류가 아주 집중적으로 이루어질 거라고 하니까요. 이 부분도 참고해 주시는 것도 좋을 것 같다는 생각이 듭니다. 마지막으로 영국 취업을 희망하는 한국 청년들에게 당부의 말씀 한마디 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Well, I would encourage them to do it. I think it's a wonderful thing to do. I think they will find that the UK is a very welcoming place and we have world-renowned universities and schools. And if people want to work in the UK, I would strongly encourage them perhaps to think about studying first in the UK, because that will give you an insight into the UK, into our culture and so on, and also create possibilities for seeking work afterwards. So I think that's a very good stepping stone, a good start point for working in the UK.
먼저 영국에서 공부를 한 다음에 일자리를 찾아보는 그런 과정이 도움이 될 것이다. 이런 조언도 해주셨습니다. 지금까지 찰스 헤이 주한 영국 대사님과 함께 다양한 이야기 나눠봤습니다. 오늘 말씀 고맙습니다. Thank you for joining us today.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. 네. 네, 오늘은 주한 영국 대사님과 함께 전 세계의 파장을 불러일으킨 영국의 브렉시트와 해외 취업을 꿈꾸는 대한민국 청년들을 위한 영국 취업에 대해 자세히 알아보는 시간을 가졌는데요. 어떠셨나요? 오늘 대담을 통해 영국에 자리 잡은 우리 한국 기업과 영국 취업을 비롯해 유학을 준비 중인 모든 분들께 많은 도움이 되었으면 합니다. 월간 특집 해외 취업 주한 대사에게 듣는다 준비한 내용은 여기까지입니다. 시청해주신 여러분 고맙습니다.